All right, so today we're going to run through getting started with Arch. The first step is really getting your environment set up. So we're going to walk through that today just to show you how quick and straightforward that is. I'll be working off of a Mac. This should work on Intel as well as the regular Mac as well as Linux. So I guess the first step is let's go to our main online resources, book.arch.network, which you can find a lot of resources around how it works, how to get started, how to run a validator, etc., etc. So there's a wealth of knowledge there. But today we're going to be running through what we have over here is the Quickstart guide. So just to make sure that you guys are good to go when you start up, we have some prereqs. I've already gone ahead on this computer and gotten those set up, but just to make sure, we'll go ahead and we'll just check these versions out. So you can basically just copy paste these into your terminal, and we'll see what we have just to make sure that we're good to go. So in this case, we're looking for get to or later. We're looking for Rust 1.84.1 or higher, so we're at 188. We're looking for a Solana version higher than 2. At this point, I think 3 is the default, but as of this recording, we haven't updated our requirements here. 2 should work perfectly fine. We haven't done extensive testing on 3 yet, so that may be coming, but for now, make sure you're in the 2s. We're going to go ahead and get the Arch Network CLI binary. So there's this link here. It'll take you to the latest version, which is as of right now, or as of yesterday, is 5.8. So you're just going to scroll down to the assets area and look for the Arch CLI binary of your flavor. So you have Linux, and we have Intel, Apple, and we have Apple's ARM Apple. So we're going to go ahead and click download for the Apple version. Let's go ahead and get that file. Let's rename it so that it's easier to use. We'll rename it to Arch CLI, and let's move it into, I just put it in a folder called Arch. So we'll dump it in there since we're already in our terminal. That's the directory we're in right now, which is project/Arch. You can put it wherever you want. Let's make sure it's there. On Mac and Linux, you just gotta make sure that it's executable. Sometimes when you download it, it's not. So we're just gonna go ahead and make sure that the binary is able to be run. One catch with this is that on Mac, because these are not signed binaries by Apple, when you try to run the binary, you may get an error. So you'll see it says move it to trash here. You can just hit done. Don't move it to trash. And then what you got to do is you have to go to your system settings. You're going to go down to privacy and security. And then if you scroll down, you'll see Arch CLI was blocked to protect your Mac. And you can allow that anyway. So the next time you run it, hopefully we should be able to open anyway. You're just going to click open anyway. And you may have to put in your user password for the machine. And then you'll see welcome to Arch Network CLI. So that's kind of a quirk you got to follow through to get that going. No big deal. And then finally, you just got to make sure you have Docker installed. And like I said, I already set this computer up, so installing Docker is done. That you can make sure that it's set up on your command prompt. You should, if you type in Docker command, you should be able to see the list of all the help menu stuff for Docker. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and start up Docker, a Docker desktop. So right now, I don't have any containers running on the machine. Nothing going on. We could, let's go ahead and clone. Actually, we'll go ahead and clone the examples. So we have a repo called archnetwork/arch examples, which has a bunch of example code that you can run, Arch programs that you can deploy to the network to test. So in this case, we're just going to go ahead and we'll clone that into our Arch project directory. Just get that out of the way. Should take a minute or so. All right, cool. But we're going to go ahead and start our local development environment. Now, the easiest way to get started with a test environment is to just run the orchestrate start command on Arch CLI. So this will start up a Bitcoin Core node in reg test mode, a Titan indexer, and a local validator, which is the bare minimum you need to be able to run it locally. And you can run orchestrate. So I'll just go ahead and I'll show you the different options you have on orchestrate command. So you have start, stop. You can do start up or start the validator itself, or just restart it. You can reset everything, which is like he gets rid of all your services, all the volumes, all the data directories, and like resets your whole local setup. Or you can just reset the validator itself. So if you want to like reset your Arch network and just leave the Bitcoin and the Titan indexer all operating properly, and you can do that as well. So we're going to do start, and then also the start command has some options as well. So you can force it to rebuild Titan as well if like you want to use like a specific Titan version or something. In this case, we're just going to go ahead and run orchestrate start, and that should start up our containers. So what it's doing, and then you may have to enter your user password to make sure you have permissions on things. So what it did so far is it's pulled the Titan Docker image from GitHub container repository, and then it's set up all of the data directories and everything necessary for that. So now it's going to go ahead and create all the different containers. So it spins up a separate network within Docker. And then if everything goes well, and that was fast, you might have missed it here if you didn't close your eyes for a second, but now the network is up and running. And so this is a little bit fast, but I'll try to scroll up a little bit so you can see what's going on. You can see save block to file, which basically means that, you know, this block it's generating blocks. We're at 39, 40, 41, and it's just going to continue to scroll through. So if you see this, that's usually a good sign that your network is up and running. And we'll go ahead and look over here at Docker. So you can see it created a network called ArchNet DevNet. It has 4 containers. This Titan init one is just an initialization container. It runs a script to get Titan up and running. You see Bitcoin D is running. In this case, we have the orchestration will just generate blocks for you, because on reg test mode, you have to actually generate blocks yourself. So it's just going, looks good. You have Titan, which should be indexing blocks and handling WebSocket subscriptions from the local validator. So you can see that that's moving. Sync to tip, that's the latest block. And then the local validator, which is what you were seeing over there on the other side, which is generating, you know, we're up to 400 something blocks already for Arch. So that's pretty much all it takes to get an Arch network up and running. It's just a one node network. This is not, there's no boot node, there's no validator whitelist, there's no multiple validators. This is really mostly just a development workspace for you to be able to deploy programs, test your code locally, and execute that. So, and then here in the Arch book, it actually outlines some other options. So you have, like Arch CLI orchestrate start, which we ran, you can add, there's a local parameter, which you can basically say, I don't want to use, right now it will go out and pull the latest image from GitHub. So that 0.5, but you can specify your local source code. If you're working on Arch network and you've made some tweaks, or you just want to run your own local source, you can specify that. You could also choose to use a Bitcoin D node. So if you just want to run like your local validator and your own Titan indexer, but you want to use like a remote hosted Bitcoin D instance, you can do that, and it will just not run the Bitcoin D. Or if you want to rebuild all the images from scratch, you can just force it to rebuild those images. So it's a little bit more obscure options, but you can do that. Or here we have option B, which is you can create an Arch CLI profile. And then what this does is this sets up like that Bitcoin node. Like let's say we have a public testnet Bitcoin node that indexes, or that syncs with testnet 4. It's at this bitcoin node.test.aws.archnetwork.xyz. And you can set that up, and then you don't have to run Bitcoin at all, and you can have it point to actual testnet 4, like a live testnet 4 instance, if you don't want to use like a reg test local node. And one reason you might want to do that is because a lot of people like to test this against real Bitcoin network, but also a lot of the Chrome plugins for wallets like Unisat and Xverse don't really work on reg test. So if you're going to test like runes or ordinals, inscriptions, things like that, you're probably going to have to point it to a testnet node. So this is where that comes in handy. Yeah. So you can evaluate the network just to make sure things are running. So just stop that logging. You can just run Arch CLI. You can see we're at block height of 1250. Just to make sure that that's up and running. If you're wanting to generate another Bitcoin block, you can actually tell it to mine blocks. There's some other features in here, but you can go through that at your own leisure. So in this case, so at this point you have like your fully working network.